Now introducing your 2015 Illini Drive All-Stars. The sophomore social media guru from Naperville, Illinois, Mr. Jeff Omer. Second, the senior co-host and one half of the Twin Towers from St. Charles, Illinois, Steve Bourbon. Third, his counterpart, the always sarcastic and a fan of no team on the show, senior co-host Sam Sherman. Then we have the new guy on the squad whose favorite word is crucial when talking about the Illinois basketball team. Repping small town Washington, Illinois, senior co-host JJ Wilson. Last but not least, the senior producer from Chicago, Illinois, Torrance Sorrell.
Welcome in, everyone, to Illini Drive here on April 20th. Bit of a chilly day, as Torrance noted earlier in the sportscast, but we've got a pretty good show to get to today. A lot going on. Two of my favorite segments coming today. We're going to talk some Illinois spring football because it's totally football season, and that was something that happened over the weekend. I was there. Jordan was there. So that happened. We'll have pair of Illini baseball guys, Will Krug and Kevin Duchesne, in studio breaking down. They're on a hot streak. What was it, about 12 in a row now for them? I mean, 13.
And they're number 9 in the
cracking
nation.
the top 10 now. Mm-hmm. So we'll have them in studio talking about Illini's winning streak and see what's going on with them. And then finally we'll close it out. Sam and I did a little homework during the week, and we talked with Grantland staff writer Shea Serrano. We talked a little hip-hop and a little NBA playoffs, so that'll close out the show. Also, as well, the NBA playoffs underway now.
Yeah.
With I know Torrance. I know you're excited about that.
I'm hype. I'm turned every word, all the above.
I was at the spring game, but I was able to have my laptop up with the Bulls on, and I had very muted fist pumps. Every time D-Rose did something cool. So. But first off, Illinois football had their spring game over the weekend. That was Saturday afternoon. Pretty great day out there, but they broke the teams up orange and white. Orange was the starters, white was the backup, and even though Tim Beckman was in a giving mood, he gave the white team 34 free points. The orange team still won 44-41. So I know, Jordan, that you were at the game, and I kind of want to get your impressions from it is a scrimmage, but more of a practice than anything. I guess what'd you take away from it?
Well, one of the first things I want to talk about, and I know we talked about this a little bit at the game, is that the defense was hard to really assess when you're giving one set. Well, first off, it's starters versus non-starters,
right.
And you want the starters to approach it in the right way, but the defensive line was also flipping sides.
Yeah, they had 3
for
healthy interior defensive linemen total.
Right.
So they were playing the whole game.
So they were playing the whole game, but half the time they were playing against competition, which, for better or worse, isn't as good as some of the competition they'll play, especially when they get into the Big Ten season. Mm-hmm. So the pass rush looked a little better, but quarterbacks weren't live, and it was sometimes against reserves. So it's hard to really see any steps being taken forward in that respect. They could be. I mean, things could have improved, and I think we can expect them to improve as they have every year. But right now it's too early to call for the defense.
Yeah.
But one of the things I really did like and observed was Wes Lunt looks like he's comfortable again in the pocket. Again, quarterbacks weren't live, but Wes looked comfortable throwing. He was slinging all ends of the field. It was nice to see him back in form that we're more used to.
Yeah, he looked comfortable back there, and maybe that was a byproduct of having no rush and not having to worry about getting rid of the ball immediately, as kind of what he went through a little bit last year. But definitely, yeah, he was pretty sharp. 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. Only played the first half, but he had a good connection with Gmo. Hit him for a touchdown. Hardy got in, made some nice plays. So I think Lunt was good. Some underrated thing that I liked, which fans probably didn't like, but Josh Ferguson played 3 plays. The first 3 plays, he got 3 touches for -6 yards. Ooh. Didn't play the rest of the scrimmage, and I really like that because with all of the injury luck or lack of luck that you've had, there's no reason for him to be on the field. I mean, he's not going to learn anything from an extra practice at this point. So just get him out. Don't even worry about it. And we were able to see, some of the guys in behind him after Dre Brown tore his ACL.
I know you're going to be hesitant to try and say who was behind him.
No, I'm not even going to try. But, but Henry, number 23, his last name starts. Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, is that how you say it?
Enyanahi.
Wow, you like ripped that really confidently.
Yeah.
I mean, he was touching the ball pretty often. I heard it quite a few times, and I practiced a little bit. I'll be honest. I practiced to make sure I sounded right.
Yeah, I mean, he looked pretty good.
Because I mean, I wasn't at the game, but after Dre Brown went down with the injury, I started to think about this. I want to I don't want to sound too negative or too down about Illinois football or anything, because it's just the spring game just happened. It's way too early for anything like that. But you mentioned some of the wide receivers. You mentioned Hardy and Geronimo. But without in my opinion, I think you guys would probably agree or he'd be close up there. They lost their best player in Mikey Dudek, their best playmaker.
Sure.
Is it really going to matter? I mean, isn't this offense going to take a pretty major hit when you lose a weapon like that? I know we talked a lot about Dudek last week, but from what you saw at the spring game, did you see guys that could replace at some level? I mean, there's no really replacing Mikey Dudek, but
right.
Will they have the weapons?
Well, I think Deontay Taylor did a nice job out there. He was able to catch a 30-yard touchdown on a bubble screen, made one guy miss, and able to take it all the way. So I think he looked fine. He's been in games where he only has one career catch, but he's actually played in games before. So I think he'll be competent. But the fact is now you don't have the inside-outside threats that you did, because defenses have to make a choice. If Dudek's in the slot and Allison's out wide, you got to make a choice, like who you're going to give extra coverage to, because you can't, obviously double up on both. But now I think this puts a lot more pressure on Gmo and Hardy to get open, because everyone's going to be focusing on them, and I think it's going to make things a lot more difficult for Lunt.
Another thing we didn't get to see in the spring game is Malik Turner will be back by the start of the season.
Very true, yeah.
And I think he's going to be a piece that, he was used somewhat last season, but I think now that he's a sophomore, he's got more experience under his belt, and that Dudek's gone, that we'll see Malik Turner's role kind of get much larger.
Right. I mean, that's like a kind of an underrated thing, too. Like, behind Hardy, Gmo, and Turner, I mean, there's a lot of unprovens. I mean, I think the backup receivers was Leslie Poole.
Yep.
And I'm blanking on the other guy. I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. There's
not a
whole lot back there.
I mean, there's just that. Yeah. So I don't know. I think the biggest. Can we talk about the format of it? Because I didn't understand this at all. As I mentioned, it was the orange against white, starters versus backups.
Was it still titled the orange and blue game though? The orange and blue scrimmage?
Oh, was it orange and blue? I thought it was white.
Yeah, it was orange and white.
Because they were wearing white jerseys, so I would assume they'd be white. That would not make.
I think
they
they just called it. I think they just called it the spring game. I think they let colors stay out of it this time.
Well, they don't have blue jerseys,
right?
So
Exactly.
That would be a little hard. But I mean, I get that they didn't have the defensive linemen to split up teams. They normally do a draft, and it's a whole thing, and the seniors pick, and family and that stuff. And but I mean, just to watch the starters kind of pound the backups for like 2 straight hours. I don't know. I figured that there's a way that they can make it more competitive other than just putting fake points on the scoreboard.
I would just make I don't know, it's not an argument, but I obviously like to say that word a lot,
especially when you're talking to me.
Yeah. I would just say that I don't really think that the spring game means a whole lot of anything other than just to kind of get the guys out there and get the fans, people who are Illinois football fans, to sort of get their get a little something, some kind of entertainment. I mean, of course, you could say, well, you get to see this guy, you get to see this guy. Sure, but I don't really know, of course, would it be more fun if you could have a little bit more competitive fair? But I especially think that with the injuries that you've seen with this team, I don't think they're looking to do anything too crazy.
Counterpoint. But what about the steaks and beans and weenies?
Well, that's a big deal.
I mean, huge deal. I was commenting, a couple of our guys from the DI here were in the press box, and how great would it be if the white team won just by default, just by getting fake points? Would they still get the steaks?
Oh yeah.
Like nice job, guys. Like the coaching staff was generous.
Steve, someone's got to get the steaks,
and somebody's eating beans and weenies.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if fake points, real points. I want to ask you, Steve. You're a big food guy.
Oh,
I mean, is it like clearly the steaks over the beans and weenies, or would you like
Oh, steak is no question head and shoulders above the beans and weenies.
Yeah,
but it's not like.
But don't you think?
It's not like I lost. Like crap. I get to eat beans and weenies. It's like no. Like I'm still pretty happy. About
in a little bit of in some way, don't you see it like a little bit where I could see Beckman as the kind of guy who gives all his guys steak.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Big steak family dinner.
Family. Yeah.
But then see, we've got like conflicting, ideologies here between the family and the competition thing. Because sometimes he's got to be the dad.
There wasn't that competition though that you were looking for.
Well, it got competitive in the fourth. There was a running clock, and David Flashy Shoes Reisner, who was wearing.
Still going with him?
No, he had white shoes.
See, that's good. I'm happy to hear that because it's like you can wear those shoes. For people who aren't familiar, David Reisner last year wore those,
like Oregon neon green. Yeah,
those are great if you're like going to be hitting all your field goals. But if you start to struggle a little bit, you might want to.
And he struggled. He missed both his field goals, including a potential game-time field goal with a minute left. So, I mean, it got competitive. It just, wasn't competitive.
What did they finish? 9 of 16 on field goals last year, and then they missed some odd number of extra points, which I didn't even know happened.
Yeah. And this wasn't in a spring game. This was the regular.
No, this was a real thing. It happened multiple times in the bowl game. I mean, but one of the things with the format, I understand because we had the opportunity to talk to Beckman. 1-on-3, I guess.
Yeah.
And I understand where he was coming from with the format, but I think overall, even with the injuries on defense, just do what you did and let some of them play both teams, but still let the draft take place. At least that way the teams are balanced.
Yeah, or why not do, you have the one offense and the 2 defense, right? No, the one offense and the 2 defense are like one team. And then you have the 1 defense and the 2 offense.
This is what you're proposing.
Yes, I'm proposing that.
Yeah.
So, the 1s would face the 1s and the 2s face the 2s. Why not break it up like that? That'd be decently even.
I mean, I think that certainly make it more competitive. I would just say again that I just don't know how much you'll like. Again, it'll be more competitive, but I just am so. I would just be so weird with the injuries and not wanting to lose anyone else. You probably take a less competitive game over guys going harder and maybe hurting themselves.
And that was asked after the game if he ever thought about canceling the game just because of all the injuries. I mean, you think Malik Turner, Dudek, Dre Brown, Teddy Karras still isn't there. I mean, Tico Powell's still not there. All these guys, all name guys. And they had the same number of guys injured this year as they did last year. But the difference is these guys are all difference makers. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, they decided to play the game. They got out clean, no injuries in the game. So that's,
Well, and as Beckman said, both Dudek and Brown, they were non-contact injuries.
Right.
So they were freak injuries. So to cancel the spring game thinking we already had some guys get roughed up, they didn't really get roughed up. They got injured in stuff that was just freaky, a lot like Tracy Abrams.
Right.
And I mean, you can't just like, there's one thing about just not, taking the, how competitive the game is a little lower, but you can't. I think you got to play because at the end of the day, these guys are going to play now or in the, or as it leads up to the season and then eventually in the season. So I think not playing, and like you said, it was the non-contact kind of stuff. It doesn't really, make a difference all that much.
Yeah, I agree. And just last minute here, I want to give a shout out to Jeff George Jr. because I like backup quarterbacks that don't really play.
So tell us though. You know what? I'm gonna call you out on this one. So what do you like about Jeff George Jr.?
I like that he wasn't afraid to sling it. I mean he came in and I think his first 2 or 3 plays they were just touch sacks because they couldn't find anyone. But had a long touchdown. It was like a 70-yard touchdown, and then on a 3rd and long, stepped up, climbed the pocket. You like to see that. I think it was like 4th and like 17 on their last drive. Hits a guy in the seam for about 40 yards. So.
Archie Murdoch.
Yeah, Marchie Murdoch had a pretty solid game.
I don't think it's fair
Not Manberg though. So
I don't think it's fair to assess Murdoch just yet either. To be like, oh, he had that 71-yard touchdown in the spring game. No.
Right.
No one really cares about the spring game. I'm sorry. No one's going to remember the 44-41 thing, just like no one remembers Beckman's first spring game, which was 13-12. The only reason I know that is because I looked it up. And the spring game is inconsequential when it comes to what we're going to see in the fall. As long as what we saw, good stuff in the spring game, bleeds over into the fall, I think that's the only thing that really matters about the spring game.
Well, and now the bad news is no football for a few months, so I'm back to being sad. But
at least it's not basketball.
Well, that's true.
I mean, I think that this, even though like we were talking about the spring game, it is what it is. It doesn't get me all that excited, but it does get me thinking about Illinois football. And I think that after sort of a rough basketball season, myself and many people are probably looking forward to just seeing another sport. Just kind of refresh, just see how that's going to go. And injuries are going to make Beckman's job start a little bit tougher, but. I got Jeff George Jr., so what are you worried about?
Yeah, he's in there. So, all right, we're gonna go take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a pair of players from the Illini baseball team in studio to talk about their winning streak. We'll be right back.
This is Jimmy Jackson. Join in for the Illini Drive, WPGU 107.1.
Welcome back to WPGU 107.1 on Illini Drive. I'm here with Illinois baseball players Kevin Duchesne and Will Krug. How you guys doing today?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Pretty good. How was it getting that little break with the weather cancellation against Indiana?
A lot of downtime in the clubhouse, so we were trying to twiddle our thumbs, figuring out what to do, but it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have a 4.5-hour rain delay, there's some antics always going on in that clubhouse.
Can you paint a picture for us? What was
you don't want to know that.
Now, I mean, if the wait, excluding the wait, would you guys have rather just played it out? I assume.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, coming out strong against the Hoosiers in the first two games. We have a lot of confidence riding right now. And especially looking back on last year and how good their team was. It would be just much nicer to have got that sweep.
Now, what's that rivalry like with Indiana? Because as far as baseball, that seems to be your closest rival, especially in the past few years. So now, based on how you said they were last year, it feels like you guys have flopped a little bit, flip-flopped a little bit.
I mean, we were just talking about that out in the hall, and Kevin was saying how, we were almost painting his little brother to them, and we're obviously not a fan of that. So, anytime we can come out and show what we can do and show our stuff, we want to. So it's good, to be where we're at. We want to keep going this season.
Well, Kevin, I saw you hit the first Indiana hitter you faced. You hit him with the pitch, so sending a message there.
Oh no, absolutely not. No, that's bad karma. No, actually, I don't know. It just got away from me, and you're like the fourth person that's asked me that. I promise you, I did not.
So does it have no effect on the pitches that come at me? Just trying to locate better, or just?
I mean, I think I was a little amped up. Obviously big rivalry, and I just got a little bit out of sync and hit him.
Has there been sort of a comfort level at this point? Where, I mean, not comfort's probably not the right word, but where you guys, if you go down early in a game, you're not so concerned. Where you just kind of like more confidence.
I mean, the guy sitting to the right of me is the helm of the veteran senior leadership. I feel like this team has a great poise even when we're down. We have no quitters in that dugout. Everybody is there to win, and everybody wants to win, and everybody expects to win.
Exactly. It's just a veteran mindset. It doesn't matter where we're at. Just keep going, stay the course, and keep doing what we're doing, and we know it'll work out in the end.
And I'm not sure a lot of people know this about you, Will, but that you're a walk-on and also a civil engineering major.
Yep.
So how? Yeah. So I couldn't do any of those things that I just mentioned. I could not walk onto a baseball team remotely, let alone hit one, and I could not study anything except for what I'm studying. But what's it like now that you're kind of approaching the end of all of it at Illinois?
Well, I wouldn't say sorry yet because I only have 12. This is the first time I've taken 12 hours in a semester just to lighten it up to make the season a little bit easier. So I'm doing fine right now, and it's pretty manageable. But I don't know. I mean, it's just like there's been a lot of work in the past and a lot of fun on the baseball field. Obviously, not as much fun when you're studying. But I don't know. You just kind of go along with it and keep doing it.
So then, other than confidence, I mean, and you guys have been here for a while. Is this the most confident you've been as a team going into the final stretch of the season?
I would say we're playing like it. That's hard to gauge. Going into the Big Ten tournament, last year, I think we came off of a series loss to Nebraska, which got us, I think, the 3 seed instead of the 2 seed. And, I would like to head into, the Big Ten tournament as hot as we started. So I would say, if we could do that, that would probably be the most confident I think we could get.
Well, I feel
Yeah.
like I was just saying with you guys, like watching you, it's like obviously the pitching staff. Everyone talks about the team ERA is right around 3. You've got the rotation and Shea out of the bullpen, but also you guys have been swinging the bats pretty well too. Not many teams have that kind of balance at both ends.
Yeah, exactly. We get it done. We've been bringing it to the past couple games as well. But the main thing is just like when we're not hitting, our pitching's there and they step up. And when our pitching isn't there, which is kind of rare, our hitting does step up and provides a lot of runs. So that's just like the recipe for success, and what is working. And to answer your question, GAJ, from earlier, just a mindset thing. I felt like for me at least, there is a big difference between last year and the past couple of years and this year. Just thinking about it from the past couple of years, we'd show up and we'd go do our best we can, but there's almost that not doubt in our mind, but this year the difference I feel like is we go out there and we expect to win. We expect to do really well and give anyone the best we got, and a great game at the very minimum.
Right into the field in style, Lamborghinis, everything. You got it all made.
Bruce Wayne style.
Right, exactly, absolutely.
Well, Kevin, I see you got White Sox hat there. I guess
This is actually the Yarmouth Dennis Red Sox hat I played for him in the cave.
wow, man. I'm
Sorry. I didn't mean to call you out.
no, that's fine. Well, you played that with them this summer, is that right?
Yeah, it was awesome. Great team.
Okay. Out in Cape Cod?
Yeah, out in the Cape Cod. It was a fun time. Beautiful weather and a great baseball team.
Okay. Good save by me, I'll say that right now. But I guess, do you guys watch the big leagues, and you got favorite team or
MLB Network, I think the team, I was actually talking with my roommates, I think the team that's going to be hot late is the Padres. They just, I don't know, that back end of the bullpen with Kimbrel now is nasty. Added starting pitching, have all the tools at least to at least have some sort of an offensive productive offensive year.
Well, they've made so many changes, in this offseason, getting Kemp and now getting Kimbrel and all these other Uptons. They're collecting Uptons at this point. But I just don't know. Like in that division, you still have the Dodgers. I know the Giants have had a slow start, but they're going to be there. It just kind of stinks for them that they're stuck in that division.
It's an odd number year. The Giants aren't going to win it.
That's right. They're in the every other, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
We've had baseball players, Illinois baseball players on, throughout our show, and one thing that seems to be like the common theme is that along with having the success in the field, it seems like you guys have a lot of fun, just as a team, and I'm sure that other teams, if you're a team, you see that a lot. But has that just been, maybe even this season more than others, where you're just able to have some fun along with the success?
Every team is different, and I've seemed to have a lot of fun every single year, and this year is no different. There's just always new characters. It doesn't get. One of the obvious is Anthony Milazzo.
Yep.
You show up to the field every day to work and do what you do, but you always find yourself smiling and laughing. There's no way around it. We have a good time always wherever we are. So,
I think we keep it pretty loose. These guys, they're like Krug said, there are a lot of personalities on this team, and to highlight every single one of them would just be a waste of everybody's time, because I don't know if a lot of people find it funny except for us.
Exactly.
We had Meso and Milazzo in here, and they were having a nice time for sure.
Exactly.
They gave Matt a scare about what they might say on the radio, so he's like, "Hey, just keep in mind,
I'm sure it came with an asterisk and a warning on it. Yeah.
So at what
Maybe
point?
even like a nuclear packaging thing.
Yes, no, absolutely. They took it off. They had jackets on that, warned everyone. So at what point, now that you guys are both veterans, at what point did it start feeling like all play and no work at all? Obviously their work is still there, but at what point did it just start to feel like this is just enjoyable? There's no I'm used to college now. It doesn't feel like work as much as it used to. Or does it?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I kind of just stick with a routine, but you're right. Freshman year and sophomore year were kind of like, okay, show up to the field and stuff like that. Now it's just at least what I do. I'm there doing what I like to do. and class is class. I still have to do that, unfortunately. But when I show up to the field, it's not like, all right, let's do this practice. It's just, all right, it's a good deal. A lot of good people there. Fun to practice, fun to play. It's really enjoyable. So I'd say, probably after that freshman, sophomore year.
It's just like going and hanging out with like 35 of your best friends for 2 hours every day now. It's like, I would say, yeah, sometimes it could have been a chore with all the responsibilities that you get your freshman and sophomore year. But, when especially when you got a team this good and everything's clicking, it's a good clubhouse to be in.
Is that nice? Like, I know you guys, entered the top 10 now. You're on a pretty mean winning streak. Is that nice? You keep things light and keep it, from being, almost too pressure packed of a situation for you guys.
For me at least, I don't feel any pressure at all. I don't think a lot of the guys do either, just based on how we're acting. It's the same stuff. You would think if you went into our locker room and stuff like that, you would not think that we would be where we're at right now.
I can second that.
Yeah. But I think that's a great thing. Everyone's loose, playing well, and
when you have to stop worrying about being good and actually just being good, it kind of takes the pressure off.
Mm-hmm. You guys have had some nice crowds this year. People are showing up to watch Illinois baseball. Has that kind of sunk in for you guys that people are really?
Can we call it a baseball school yet, or when's?
Yeah.
I think that that's on you guys.
Oh,
isn't that on the media?
Well, yeah, we can start it out. We can test it out. Illinois, the University of Illinois, the Fighting Illini, the baseball school.
There you go. Yeah.
Of the Big Ten.
Because you guys have certainly helped out that cause. If we were going to start that out, because there's been a lot of excitement around the program, and it seems like this year, you've had a lot of that success. So are there times when you're looking out when you're on the field and just thinking like, the crowd's pretty cool?
Oh yeah, especially this past weekend, I think we had like 4,000 people out on Friday night, and fireworks, and just a ton of things that it was almost like being a part of the circus, and in the sense of, because that's not what we're used to with Illinois, and it's cool. It's really cool, seeing everybody out there, the little kids staying, getting their whatever it was, snow cones with the Illini baseball helmets. That was so cool. It's nice to get recognition, and it's nice that it wasn't just this weekend. It's been the past couple of weekends. So we love the support. We'd love to see people stay coming out. Like, obviously that's it's a lot of fun playing in front of people that care.
Exactly. We want them to continue to come out, because when it changes the environment of the game. It's so much easier to bring the energy when our fans also bring the energy, which they've done a great job of. So it's a lot of fun when there's a good amount of them there.
And now the question I want the answer to is, how much barbecue did you guys take home after the bleacher barbecue?
None.
None?
No.
Mm-mm.
Did you try?
They couldn't save you something? Or?
No.
Would you have if it were available?
I don't know. Truthfully, after the game, what was that? That had to have been at least 3.5 hours later.
Yeah.
Depending on how that was preserved, maybe.
Yeah, I know. For a rain delay yesterday, actually, the parents always, the fans and parents always have their tent, and I think they do fried chicken on Sunday mornings and stuff like that. So, since there wasn't our parents there and the fans there to eat the fried chicken, and we were waiting and hungry for about 4 hours, there was about 30 dudes walking around with fried chicken in our clubhouse. So, fried chicken morning. Yep.
There's obviously been, along with fans, a lot of scouts coming out to the games, lately for various reasons. And does that add some, we've talked to some of the other guys about this, has that added some pressure to you guys, or is it more just you don't really think about it?
I don't think about it at this point. I just enjoy going out there and playing.
The thought in every player's head should be, at the end of the day, it all takes care of itself. If you do what you can do, you just control what you can control, and if those guys like you, hey, they like you. But at the same time, it's, we're out here playing for one common goal, and that's to go to Omaha and win that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You do the best you can for your teammates and no one else. That's how it should be.
All right. Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Will. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for our last segment.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Torrance Terrell, who works with Milan Handling.
okay.
And then Sam Sherman on the marketing
Oh,
side.
I don't want to talk about him. No.
I need a little bit more dose of nasty. I'm seeing a little bit of unconfident, a little hesitation. It's not supposed to be easy. Every round gets tougher. Penetrate hard. Good passes. Shoot with confidence. I want some nasty.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. With the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer.
Feels like it outside, am I right?
Torrance, I gotta agree. This is some of the best time of the year. It's the NBA playoffs, kicked off this weekend, tipped off this weekend, I guess is the proper way to say it. We're through, the first games of each of the each of the matchups.
Yes.
And but as we mentioned in the opening, Sam, you and I were able to sit down by a phone next to Shea Serrano from Grantland. So we talked a little bit about his irrational hate for J. Cole and got to the NBA playoffs. So let's give that a listen right now.
We are here with Grantland staff writer Shea Serrano here on Illini Drive. Shea, I wanted to talk first with you about something that, you're a great Twitter follow, obviously, and on Twitter, people would probably know if they follow you that you're not a big J. Cole guy. And I want to kind of know what the origin of this was and just kind of how this sort of J. Cole hate came to be.
Hey, I don't know how it came to be. It just sort of was. I don't know. I just don't like his music is how it started. And then if you don't like somebody's music and then you got a whole bunch of people telling you that this person's music is good, then that's just sort of what happened, I saw him in concert. I went to go, I was covering the Jay-Z show, I believe it was. It was a Jay-Z breaker. One of the big guys he was opening up for. I'm assuming Jay-Z since they're associated with one another. And he was good. In person, he was working hard and trying to get the people involved, and it was whatever. I just don't like him.
Well,
sometimes you just have a person, you look at him and you like him like that.
Well, because I remember when Born, I wasn't a big J. Cole fan for a while, but then I decided to give my roommate at the time hated J. Cole, but Born Sinner came out, and then I wasn't going to give it a listen. But my roommate who hated him was like, you should listen to this. It's really good. We used to joke that it was good music for nap time. Throw on some J. Cole and you can get to sleep pretty quick. But and so I listened to that. And I know it came out the same day as Yeezus did, and I just thought it was impressive, at least in my opinion, that album. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming you won't agree with this, but I thought that album was a lot better than Kanye's release that day, and I just thought it was kind of impressive for J. Cole to have done that. Did that album change anything? Or you still really weren't a fan of it?
No, I can't believe you said that. I don't even want to talk to you anymore. Terrible.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, yeah.
J. Cole to me is the guy that is like, I'm trying to tell people how smart I am, but I'm not saying anything smart. You know what I'm saying? That's J. Cole to me. That's who he is in my life. The Yeezus album was amazing. How dare you?
Well, that's okay. We'll get to some Kanye as well. And I like Kanye. I just thought that in my opinion on that day, I thought that, obviously you don't agree with this, but I thought that was a little bit better of an album. But we'll get back. We'll circle back to that.
Agree to disagree, I guess, on that one. Yeah.
So I guess moving on, obviously the big hip hop release in the last couple months was To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick's new album. And I want to just kind of know what your thoughts on the album were, because that's going to kind of follow up to the next question I've got.
Okay. Well, I like the album. I'm a big Kendrick fan. I really like his stuff. I didn't know what to expect on the new one. The first came out like 10 years ago, and I knew it was going to be different because he had already told us his whole Compton story. You can't retell that thing again. Mm-hmm. Again, that's sort of the thing that happens on the second album. There are different ways people can go, and a lot of times the way that they go is, I'm going to try to be weird from this one, or like purposely different. And it seemed like if you were going to do that, then this one came out, and it all felt very natural. It didn't feel like he was trying to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff that was in his head, he was able to get out in music. And it's sort of skittery and jumps around, and it's very passionate. And he does some silly things on there. he misuses a couple of words, but it's just a passionate tape. I like it a whole bunch.
Do you see him? I kind of look at him right now as like the guy who's at the top of the hip hop game right now. Do you have a guy that's up there, or would Kendrick be close to the top?
Yeah, he's got to be at the top right now for me. Kendrick, to me, if we're looking at him compared to J. Cole, which is the thing that a lot of people do, Kendrick would be like Allen Iverson for me. Like this person that is everybody just understands and accepts is cool. And J. Cole would be like when Kobe Bryant was trying to rap. He was trying to pretend to be this thing that he wasn't, and everybody knew it. And he had some talent. It wasn't terrible, but it was just like, what are you doing right now? That's Kendrick grew his hair long, and then now Cole has his hair long too, trying to be like.
That's trying to copy him, yeah. With the playoffs coming up, based off your Twitter feed, you're a big Spurs guy, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Spurs guy.
So, what do you think about them? What do you think of their chances? I love their matchup with the Clippers, and I love that it's already in the first round.
Oh yeah, they're gonna go 16-0. That's what I think is about to happen. I think they have a tough road. I mean, they go Clippers, Rockets, Warriors, Cavs.
Yeah.
You get, 16 wins before you lose a handful of them. Is tough in any situation, but against those three teams, I was praying that they got Houston in the first round because I live in Houston and
yeah.
I want to.
Well, who's lower for you? Is it like J. Cole or James Harden?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think they're both right there near the bottom. I'll put Cole underneath because at least Harden is fun. He's fun to root against. He knows he's a bad guy, and he plays that roll up and he does his little goofy cooking celebration.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch because there's a score at the end, and I can say, haha, he lost, and there's nothing to say about it. The Spurs played him twice in the last week, and they beat him both times, and it was the happiest moment of my life.
Well, watching Harden, it's just like, oh yeah, he's at the free throw line again. It's like 18 free throws. It's just he does the same move like every time, and he keeps getting fouled. And so it's like It's hard to root for him or like even say that they're fun to watch just because they'll shoot 35 free throws or whatever as a team and win just because I don't know people keep reaching on him. I don't know.
Yeah, well, what's crazy is he doesn't shoot that many. I mean, he doesn't shoot more free throws than Westbrook does.
Right.
He plays differently. Westbrook is just so furious that you can't help but just fall in love with him and what he's doing. He's getting fouled because he's going in there super hard and he's just going to kill somebody and blow a whistle. Harden is smarter than Westbrook is. He's going to play for longer. He's going to be better longer just because of the way he plays. I believe he shoots less. He might be like 1 or 2 free throws less per game. He's just a clever guy, and if he's not on your team, you don't want that guy to win. Like, why are you winning? And you're only 6'1" or 6'3", and why am I not in the NBA? Like that's what it reminds me of. It just makes me feel like I'm just a piece of crap, and this guy is amazing, and why can't I do? I can do what he does. I'm watching him do it, and he's not doing anything amazing, but he secretly is.
Right. All right. So Spurs. I guess which team you mentioned their path. Which team are you most afraid of? I guess for them to face potentially.
Most afraid of. I would say I'm most afraid of them playing the Warriors because I think they might be better, just talent-wise. But I'm nervous for when they play the Rockets because if they lose, I'm going to get 600 text messages every single time they lose one of the games. So I'm excited for that series. I'm not too worried about the Clippers. The Clippers are good though. I believe I know they beat them a couple times this year, but they just sort of. Chris Paul, to me, everyone talks about how great of a point guard he is. And I guess technically he does do good point guard things, but he seems to fall apart when it matters. He might be just a little too intense for his own good type of thing.
Yeah.
He might have that Kevin Garnett situation going on where he needs somebody else there with him that's not going to. Blake doesn't seem strong enough. I really love DeAndre. I like him a whole bunch, but I mean, Blake's the second guy. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, I mean those.
I'm not sure about those guys.
Yeah, those three guys, I mean, they haven't shown that they can do it in the playoffs yet. And then you look at their guys on the wings. I don't know. They still dust off like Hito Turkoglu. Like, I mean, I don't know. They've got these guys on the bench I remember from like 10 years ago. I don't even know.
Yeah.
No, that bench is.
Yeah, and was with the Spurs for a while, and it was just totally terrible to watch in that jersey. But yeah, Chris Paul just when he was with the Hornets, they took San Antonio to 7. And what did we get? 2008 maybe 2000
something like that. Yeah.
And then they lost at home Game 7, and then he just I don't know. I'm not worried about them at all.
Well, we're from just outside Chicago, so say what do you think about the Bulls, and why can't they ever stay healthy? I think it's like a voodoo doll situation.
I feel so bad for Derrick Rose. It's just, man, every week one of the body parts is falling off.
Yeah.
Something really like that's happening. But if he was not that guy, then they should have been able to beat the Cavaliers. I think the Cavaliers are going to run through everybody, hoping in the East. And then I'm hoping, of course I want San Antonio to win. I'm quietly kind of bored with them winning already. Like, they won last year, and that was great, because now I don't have to listen. I don't have to remember 2014.
Right.
It's just gone forever. They won. We're good. Or 2013, rather. So now if they lose, it's fine. Whatever they lost, they have 5. 5 is a pretty number for me. So I would like to see the Cavs and the Warriors, and then I want to see Steph Curry just go crazy and destroy Kyrie.
I was gonna say Curry versus Kyrie. That'd be pretty great.
Yeah, I think that's the matchup everyone outside of any other city that has a team. That's the matchup everybody wants to see.
That was our interview with Shea Serrano. Big thanks to him. Right over at Grantland.
Yeah,
great Twitter follow.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with him, seriously check him out. I mean, Steve, you showed me him last, maybe a year ago or so. Maybe I don't know. You showed him a while ago, and he has a article or a thing where he talks about trash talking in pickup games, basketball, and he's hilarious, outstanding.
Well, because it describes you, Sam Sherman.
Yeah, basically.
Pretty well. But that was just a quick 10-minute snippet. The full 30-minute version is online.
We talk about trash talking.
Yeah, we go over trash talking, more hip hop.
Yeah.
We cover how he got his start at Grantland,
which is
a great story as well. So check that out. We'll tweet out that link after the show.
Yes.
So if you want to check that out. But the NBA playoffs are underway. Bulls play tonight again, I guess, since I like the Bulls and I'm hosting. We're going to talk about that. What was your guys' takeaway from Game 1?
Healthy D Rose.
Yeah.
Ooh. They're gonna be a force to reckon with.
I just loved how he looked. It was just like, I don't know.
Well,
I'm still sitting there, cringing at every time he jumps or like lurches or does something a little funny. Because there was a time he was like limping a little bit, and then he like kind of worked his way through it, and that was a scare to my heart.
There were things that he did in that game where it was like, where you see it, and I told you this the other day, but like no one can stop that.
Right.
Certain moves and just the ease of how he would get to the basket and finish, and that's Derrick Rose. And in some ways, it's not I don't know if it's exactly the same as when he was before all the injuries, because I think there may have been an element of a little bit more kind of reckless explosiveness to the basket, but still that doesn't mean less effective. I think that he's figured out a way to kind of just get to the basket really with ease and finish strong still without needing that kind of burst.
Right, and he was 3 of 7 from 3. He loves to shoot threes.
Yeah.
But he hit a couple really big ones when Milwaukee was making a run in that second half. That was really big for me. But I think this is the first time, when we said it all along, but that he's healthy, but also the Bulls supporting cast is as strong as it's ever been,
and ever will be. I would say. I mean, like in this window. This is about as good of a chance you're gonna have.
I mean, you've got Jimmy Butler had a great game, scored over 20. I mean, Powell was terrible. He was about 5 of 17 shooting.
You'd expect him to, he's been there before.
But he can put up. He was a 19 and 11 guy this season. I mean, he's
54 double-doubles in the regular season.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Joakim Noah yet. Kirk Heinrich was out, so like That was that
Tony
was.
Snell was getting
I like Tony Snell.
Each one got dashes, as you said.
Yeah, each one didn't get minutes played. He got dashes.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that means.
But you know what? You got it. The other team's afraid just knowing that each one is available.
I mean,
was he available? I don't even know.
Hey, the if he doesn't hit that shot, then the Thunder make the playoffs.
Wow.
That's how much they missed it by.
Wow.
Real stat line. Do you know this is the same amount of points Derrick Rose had in this game in 2012? 23, and they also won back in 2012, 103-91. It was the same exact points he had, and the Bulls won by since his last playoff game.
Oh wow, that's weird.
That's a little creepy.
I don't know if that's Illuminati or
you know,
they got something with it.
Something like that, probably.
And I mean, if you guys remember early on, this was like the Gelman days of Illini Drive for the real fans. We had talked about Rose. I don't know. I think it had something to do with maybe around the time when he was talking about how he wants to, be able to walk later in his life.
Yeah.
And I was really critical. Not so much of that. It was just more of like how I just felt like I wasn't giving up on Derrick Rose. I was giving up on this excitement around him. And I think that it was just getting to a point where, you know what, if he's going to be on this team, he's going to be on this team. He's going to play. And you know what, if he can play like he did, and I'm here to say, so I was critical at that time, if he can play like he did in that game and show that same, effectiveness and scoring and everything like that, I see no reason why they can't even get past like the Cavs.
I see. He's playing a lot more freely now. That's something I'm starting to know about him.
Yeah.
I think back then he was playing too much in a sense to prove something to people because he knew he had doubters. He was playing too hard. I mean, obviously Thibodeau playing this guy 30, 40 minutes because that's what Thibodeau does.
Yeah. Of course.
But you could tell his demeanor was different on the court. He was playing angry, and now he's playing. You could tell he's starting to enjoy the game.
He's just going out and playing.
He was asked by a reporter before the playoffs started, like if the reporter asked if he still thinks he's one of the best players in the NBA, and Rose said yeah, and of course like what you can make the argument like, well, what's he gonna say? But I think that just he's stopped thinking about kind of what other people are thinking about. But really stopped thinking about that, and he's just going out there and like you said, he's just playing.
Yeah, I mean, I like that, and so I think the follow-up is like still, and he's like still.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I mean, he was the guy.
And
that
by
said,
the way, jerk reporter.
Hey,
I like like for our purposes, like I like it, but like for Derek sitting there and he's like he answers the question still.
I hope he wouldn't have said it with that like judgmental look that you just gave me.
Well, how else do you say it? Still? I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know.
But you kind of, I don't want to say scoffed, but you didn't look exactly convinced when I said I think the Bulls can get by the Cavs.
I just don't think anyone in the East can. I mean, they're since they've put this iteration of their team together with LeBron came back from his 2-week vacation. They got J.R. Smith, playing in Cleveland.
That's the best I've seen him play.
Well, the nightclubs in Cleveland aren't great, so I mean, Smith's been great. Obviously, Kyrie has been in All-Star game mode the whole second half of the year. I think their offense, if their defense is just competent, their offense can reach a gear that no one else can. So I don't know. I think the Bulls will win this series against the Bucks. I think the Bucks are a year away. I actually like what they're building with Giannis. Jabari will be back. Chris Middleton, Carter Williams. Yeah,
one of the best point guards in the NBA, Michael Carter Williams. Just so you know, Steve.
Okay, Sam's been like 2K association a couple years in advance. So what he should turn
based on
into.
NBA 2K, he will become one of the best point guards.
Yeah, like 2018.
Eventually? Yeah. I don't know. He gets pretty good though.
Yeah, well,
triple double. He averages a triple double.
That's approximate values, of course. If they could ever teach him to shoot any sort of jump shot, that'd be pretty good. But the Bulls should be able to get by the Bucks. I don't know. I mean, playing the Cavs in the next round should be good. I mean, we watched the Cavs game. I mean, they were sleepwalking through most of it and still won by 13.
Kyrie in that first half, he hit 4. He was 4 for 4 from 3.
Yeah.
And not one of those threes I would have advised taking from most players in the NBA. They just they were contested or whatever, and he just and he hit all of them. He was 4 for 4.
Right.
So yeah, like you said, he's playing in that mode. That's just.
And I think one thing about Kyrie, I mean, obviously, a lot of people before said, "Oh, you know, he never touched playoff soil yet." But you know, this is a guy who was the man before LeBron was on that team.
Yeah,
he was a superstar technically, and I mean, he broke the Cavs scoring record that one game when he had like 56, 57
against the Spurs. Yeah.
So I mean, like obviously you hear all those criticisms, but I mean, you know, this is the same guy who was the first round pick who didn't play a whole season playing college ball, and it's like this guy is used to big moments, you know. So I don't think that affected him a lot. Kevin Love, on the other hand, he was playing a little bit shaky.
Well, I think that's how you beat the Cavs. Every time
Can you give me the line, the Office Space line that I was questioning? Basically, so for fans of Office Space, whatever, it doesn't matter. You'll give the line in a second. But whenever Kevin Love misses like an open three, which he does a lot apparently, hit him with it.
What is it you do here? I mean, anytime he takes a shot, like the other team has to be ecstatic because it's not LeBron, it's not Kyrie, and it's probably not a wide open J.R. Smith three. So, contested. Yeah. So I mean, Love. I feel like he's not in it mentally.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't play a lot of fourth quarters. They bring in Tristan Thompson, who's been really good for them. Mm-hmm. But he kind of sometimes gets relegated to go stand in the corner and space the floor. And for a guy that was a 22-12 guy not too long ago, I mean that's a big slice of humble pie to eat. And so far he hasn't really adjusted. They haven't made that work yet with him.
I like a healthier roster Bulls, and that alone just makes me excited, especially now that it's in playoffs. I mean, I think they're going to walk right by the Bucks. I don't think that's going to be a problem for them. But as much as I want to root for the Bulls, as much as it makes me excited to see them with a healthy roster and D Rose doing what he does, I don't think anyone in the East can beat the Cavs. I just don't.
Yeah.
I think they're just too strong, and especially with that offense you were talking about kicking it into high gear. I mean, how many games we were talking about this year? How that defense is just kind of falling apart sometimes for the Bulls, it only needs to do it a few times against the Cavs, and it's over.
Yeah,
and I'm just that is what worries me.
Yeah, well, the Bulls, they'll be tipping off here very shortly. I think it came on TNT tonight.
Yes, sir.
Got that going on tonight. So that's all the time we have. We're step out of the way because we got to go watch the Bulls game. So
No. Well, you can watch the Bulls game.
Oh, you people want to watch
Carlos Rodon making it. Well, he's not making his debut necessarily. Well, he probably is. Carlos Rodon, White Sox top prospect.
Okay.
We'll be back
Can you turn off his
hour. White Sox top prospect, one of the best young pitchers in baseball. It was called up today, and I just want to say I'm very excited for that. And I always say here on the show that I'm a fan of nobody, but I am a fan of Carlos Rodon and the Chicago White Sox.
And
that's going to do it today.
As I don't even know how to respond to that. Rodon,
just don't. Just let me.
He's Matt Thornton. Okay, that's fine.
That's
all we got for
Rodon,
today.
Future Cy Young Award winner Carlos Rodon.
We'll be back next week, same time, 6 o'clock on Monday. Be sure to tune in. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk some more NBA playoffs. I know Torrance and I will be excited about that. So, once again, for Steve Bourbon, JJ Wilson, Sam Sherman, Jeff Omer, Torrance Terrell, the whole crew, shout out to everyone at UPTV for hosting us. We'll be back next week. Have a good week, everybody.